I'm Jemmings with Inkjet Performance. Today I would demonstrate the use of Ink Master on a Mimaki JV3 SP machine. This particular machine, you can see, has all the covers removed from it. This is a machine that we use for our board repair service and our head refurbishment services. So it's also convenient for doing this video because it's already fully exposed where you can see all the internal components of the machine while we're going through this process. The machine is set up with 4-color ink, which means there's 2 ink cartridges for each print head, CMYK. Okay. We've set up Ink Master here in a stable location near the printer, and we have the waste tank set up in a location that's near Ink Master but is in a place that cannot be easily knocked over or the lines pulled out by accident. Also, we have the goggles and safety gloves and ink tubing that will connect to Ink Master during our demonstration. Ink Master will be performing all the work for us, so we don't need to have power on the printer. We highly recommend that you disconnect the power from the printer before starting and leave it off during the entire process. Therefore, you should turn off the main power and pull out the power plug. As you can see, we've located Ink Master in a stable position near the printer, and it's a good idea to position Ink Master so that no one can walk between Ink Master and the printer and pull the lines, the ink lines, loose, causing the spill. Okay, we've located the waste container in a stable location near Ink Master. All right, and to begin connecting up Ink Master, okay, if we look at the side of Ink Master where it's labeled Pump 1, Pump 2, you remove the caps off the connection ports for the tubing. Okay, purpose of those caps again is to prevent spillage of solution after you've disconnected the lines from the pump. Okay, then we're going to connect 2 tubes to Ink Master, and these will be the tubes going to the waste container. So we're going to connect 1 tube each to the outside. The labels are marked on the Ink Master out. The outside of each pump. There's 2 pumps in here. Okay, the other side of the ink line, we will connect or put into a waste container like this. Okay, we want the lines so that they're out of the way, aren't going to be snagged by someone. We're going to take a rag, or in this case a paper towel, fold it up, and put it into the neck or the opening of the bottle. That'll prevent the lines from pushing out. Okay? Now the printer side of the Ink Master, this is the side that connects to the printer, will connect to the inside. The Pump 1, Pump 2, there's labels that say in. You connect 1 line each to these connectors. Okay. Then we ensure the dials are on 0. This will prevent the pump from starting up when we apply power. To power Ink Master, we have our power supply. We plug it in like this. Right. And we take the other end and plug it into an AC outlet. Stop. it's very important that you use the correct cleaning solutions with your printer for the ink type that's currently in the printer, and if you're changing ink types, to the ink type that you're changing to. Okay, if you're going to leave the same ink in the printer that you started with, then it can be the same solution. But if you're changing ink types, it's very important that you follow our steps to make sure that you have the correct solution. If you have one type of ink currently in the printer, you're going to another type of ink, then the solution you start with needs to be the ink cleaning solution for the ink that's currently in the printer. That's what you flush the lines with. Then you follow behind that with the solution that matches the ink that you're going to put into the printer. Okay? It's important you follow the steps. If you don't follow that, if you mix the wrong cleaning solution with the wrong ink, you could have problems where you're clogging your heads, and nobody wants that. Okay, our solution for flushing out the ink lines is to use refillable ink cartridges, as we're showing here. In our example in this video, we're flushing out 2 ink lines, the magenta in a 4-color printer, which is one head, uses 2 cartridges. All right, in our printer here, for example, is a JV375, which is a 36-inch printer. It's pretty small. So you'd only need to fill the cartridge to about 1/3. Each cartridge about 1/3 full. All right, and then when you flush the lines, if the lines don't come clear right away and you run out of solution, then you can add more solution and just continue flushing. If you're going to flush out a larger printer, you need to add additional solution to make sure that the longer lines have adequate solution going through them to clean them. Okay. The next step in our procedure is to prepare the carriage, actually the ink lines at the carriage, for draining and flushing. Okay. We recommend that you use a paper towel or rag under the front of the printer here, so if ink drips out of the ink lines or the dampers, it doesn't get into any of the wiring. Okay. What we do now is remove the cables interconnecting the slider board and the heads. So we do this by pulling them loose carefully, not to damage the cable. And what this will do is ensure that you have enough room to work and not drip ink where you don't want it. It's a little bit more work to take everything loose and put it back together, but it's a lot safer when you consider the damages that could occur to your printer. Okay, we're going to drain the magenta lines from this printer, so I'm going to remove the dampers for the magenta. And you do this by pulling straight up. You pull straight up on the damper. Don't pull at an angle because you'll break the nipples on the head. Just pull it straight up, and I'll put the damper off to the side, and then go to the second damper and pull it straight up and go off to the side. What we would do is disconnect these dampers and connect the Ink Master ink lines to the printer ink lines to pull the ink out. Okay, you want to be careful when you take the damper loose that you don't drip ink onto the printer. What we recommend is you leave the ink cartridges installed in the printer. This will create a back pressure on the ink line and help prevent the ink from dumping out when you disconnect the damper. So you want to have one of the pump lines handy so you don't have to go looking for it when you disconnect the damper. Okay, and you unscrew the nut, put the damper aside, push back the nut with the washer there so it's out of the way. You take the line from Ink Master and you push it over the ink line like that. Okay, then you repeat the same procedure for the second damper. You'll notice when I pull this loose, the ink doesn't run out of the line because I do have those cartridges installed in the slot, creating that back pressure we spoke of. Alright, take the second line, or second pump from Ink Master, connected to that line. Alright, and now we've connected Ink Master. This is the inside, or the inlet side of the pumps, connected to the two ink lines for magenta. Okay, at this point we've connected Ink Master to the ink lines, and we have Ink Master set up, plugged in, dials on 0, the outside or the exhaust side of the pumps go into the ink waste container. Okay, we're doing that, and I've pulled the ink cartridges out about 2 inches. What this will do is expose the needles to air, and the idea is we're going to pull air out with the ink. In other words, we don't want to pull ink out of the cartridges, out of the ink cartridges. We just want to pull the ink out of the ink line, leaving air. So what we do now is we increase the pump 1 and pump 2 to maximum. And if you watch here, you'll see ink going through these lines. There you go. One line was a little bit longer than the other. And into the waste container. Okay, now Ink Master is pulling air behind that ink. So we can zoom into this. I'm not sure if you can see it there, but at this point the ink lines have air in them. And we're going to flush it out next with cleaning solution. Again, the cartridges have been pulled out about 2 inches, allowing the needles to be exposed to air instead of the ink in the cartridge. Ink Master has been turned on to its highest setting, and we are now have pulled all the ink out. And it's difficult to see this, but we are now pulling air through these lines. If we were to go to the waste tank and pull up on these ink lines, we just see air coming out of the line, or we wouldn't see the ink coming out. Alright, at this point, because we are pulling air, we can turn off the pumps by moving the dials to 0. Just like that.